India, it is gradually becoming the hub of flexible offices. My colleague Sajid Mangat got in touch with Beinani of Smartworks and Gulam of Knight Frank to understand more about the growing flex working space and its impact on traditional commercial offices. Listen in.
It's a very, very exciting time for the industry. This industry is still very new. We are less than a decade old. And in fact, you could argue that this has been one of the most revolutionary changes in the entire real estate landscape in India. That a segment which was practically 0% in 2016 has now penetrated more than 10% of India's commercial RE, which, by the way, has been having a bull run for the last decade. So it just tends to show you that not only is the velocity of growth very high, but when it comes to flexible workspaces, it's almost like a tsunami made a very strong mark on the overall commercial landscape in India. The growth has been fairly aggressive in the last few years, and we expect that this high growth rate will continue to sustain over the next decade, largely because now India is becoming the new office capital to the world. And particularly while flex spaces were catering a lot to global companies, a lot of large Indian conglomerates, unicorns were adopting flex space in a very rapid manner. But over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of large GCCs come up in a very big way in India. And for GCCs, it's a no-brainer, a natural default choice to look at flexible workspaces because it gives them a lot of speed and scalability options. So we are very excited as we look ahead to 2026. We expect it to be even stronger than the growth that we've seen in the last few years. Of course, the nature and the quality of the growth is going to be different because now you have a fairly good set of large players in this segment. So you would expect a lot more consolidation and further growth to happen.
Gulam, come in here. Harsh is saying the kind of growth that's going to be seen in the next couple of years will be much more. If you look at the total number of or million square feet of spaces used by Flex, it's gone up from nearly 34 million square feet in calendar year 2019 to nearly 100 million square feet now. And in the next 2 years, it's expected to cross 144 million square feet. What is the kind of growth potential that you see here for flexible working spaces? And where is the next, the drive? What is the next driver for them?
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this platform. It's always a pleasure to connect with you and your audience. The subject which Harsh covered very elaborately, focusing on flex space side of office requirement of the country, I'll try to broad base it a little, talk about the overall office consumption in the year ending December 2025, where we are right now. It was a historic year. We are expecting a closure of way above 80 million square feet of new office gross leasing happening in the year. And flex space is a big share of that. We are expecting almost about 20% of that in this year will be the contribution or uptake by flex space. And that is something which is telling us lots of stories. On a macro perspective, global headwinds across many countries, and especially the Americas and Europe's, have suffered in a big way as far as office market is concerned. But on the APAC side of it, while China has a similar fate that of European and American office absorptions, but places like Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, etc., have had pretty flattish or plateaued kind of nominal growth. However, India stands out. The kind of growth we saw this coming year, we saw a kind of growth over last year has been spectacular. And that is something which is expected to continue. The demand is actually not just from the global perspective. Of course, GCC has been the biggest driver, but the local demand, local consumption is also driving the office space demand. And that's very heartening to know that while globally there are headwinds, India continues to grow by leaps and bounds. And that is something which is coming to the rescue of helping the flex space also to perform or rather outperform. The reason is simple that a lot of developers who used to cater to office space supply side have actually been not too keen to develop offices because residential has been a low-lying fruit, low-hanging fruit. You would have seen recently, last 3-4 odd years, the luxury residential market has actually been driving real estate, and many developers who are creating office spaces have moved to residential because they were looking out for better profits, higher margins, and quick sales. So
Okay, so that's the word coming in from some of the players when it comes to the flexible working space. Yes, there is a lot of demand over there, but mixed reactions to recently listed names like WeWorks, you have IndieCube and Smartworks that the management was just talking about. But on that note, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Markets at Noon. Stay tuned because All About Your Company will be deep diving on KEI Industries today.